Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely. Always ready to dive in.
Okay, great. Today, we're taking a look at global markets and the tech trends that are shaping the future.
Sounds exciting.
It is. We've got a really interesting mix of sources for this one.
Like what?
Well, we've got financial news from Benzinga, some political analysis, and we'll even be taking a peek at some of the biggest highlights from Nvidia's CEO's keynote at CES.
Oh, wow. Covering all the bases.
Exactly. We're going to try to connect the dots between these different areas, see how everything fits together.
I like that. It's all connected.
Yeah, it really is. I think you'll be surprised by some of the connections we uncover.
Well, let's get
So,
to it then. What's first?
okay, so the first thing that really jumps out from these sources is just how much uncertainty there is in the global landscape right now.
Yeah, that's definitely a theme I'm seeing.
There are some pretty big political shifts happening in a lot of different countries.
Yeah, for sure. Like, take Austria, for example.
What's going on there?
Well, they're actually on the brink of a far-right government.
Wow, that's a pretty big shift.
It is. And it's not just Austria. We're seeing similar trends in France and Germany as well.
Huh. So it seems like it's kind of a Europe-wide phenomenon.
I think it's bigger than that, actually. These shifts are happening in a lot of different parts of the world. It makes you wonder what's driving it.
I know, right? It's almost like a global trend.
It is. And when you see these kinds of shifts happening across multiple countries, it's usually a sign of something deeper at play.
What do you mean?
Well, these kinds of political shifts often lead to market volatility.
That makes sense. Investors don't like uncertainty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not all bad news. This kind of volatility can also create opportunities for those who know how to navigate it.
So there's potential for profit even in uncertain times.
Absolutely. But you have to understand the dynamics at play.
So knowledge is power, as always.
Exactly. And speaking of political shifts, we can't ignore the biggest one of all.
You mean Trump?
Yeah, his return to the White House, it's already creating a lot of buzz in financial circles.
I can imagine everyone's trying to figure out what it means for the markets.
Exactly. There's a lot of
Yeah.
speculation about how his policies will impact everything.
Like what kinds of things?
Well, for starters, there's energy policy. Biden banned most offshore drilling, which really shook things up. Now we're probably going to see a shift back towards more drilling.
And what about tariffs? Those were a big deal during his first term.
Yeah, there's been a lot of back and forth on that. The Washington Post reported that he might scale them back.
Really?
Yeah, but then he denied it on social media.
Oh, classic Trump. So what do you think is really going on?
It's hard to say for sure. He likes to keep people guessing, but this uncertainty is making it difficult to predict how the markets will react.
I bet. It seems like a lot of investors are holding their breath right now.
Yeah, waiting to see which way the wind blows. And on top of all that, we have the Canadian political scene in a bit of a whirlwind right now, too.
What's happening there?
There are rumors that Trudeau might be stepping down.
Wow, so much political uncertainty on both sides of the border.
It's definitely a lot to take in. But while the political landscape is a bit of a mess, the tech world seems to be moving full steam ahead.
Yeah, especially in the area of AI. That's definitely one of the big takeaways from Benzinga's pre-market playbook.
It seems like everyone's excited about AI right now.
They are. The playbook is all about what's happening in the markets right now. And tech and chip stocks are really taking the lead.
That makes sense, especially with all the news coming out of CES. And of course, the expectation that the AI sector is only going to continue to grow.
It sounds like there's a lot of optimism in the tech world.
There is, and it's not just hype. We're seeing real innovation and growth in this sector.
Yeah, it's not just talk. They're actually making progress.
Exactly. And a lot of that progress is being driven by companies like Nvidia.
Oh, yeah, I've heard a lot about them lately. What are they up to?
Well, their CEO, Jensen Huang, gave a keynote speech at CES that blew everyone away. It was packed with exciting announcements.
So what were some of the big highlights?
Well, for one, he unveiled the Grace Hopper Superchip.
Okay, I have no idea what that is.
It's basically the largest single chip ever made, and it's specifically designed for AI applications.
Wow, that sounds impressive. What does that mean for the future of AI?
It's a total game changer. This kind of processing power is going to open up so many possibilities. Like, imagine self-driving cars that are actually safe,
Yeah, that would be amazing.
or virtual reality experiences that are totally indistinguishable from real life.
That's wild. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It really is. And that's just the beginning. He also talked about something called neural rendering.
I've heard of that. It's like AI meets computer graphics, right?
Exactly. It
Yeah.
basically allows you to create hyper-realistic visuals. It's going to have a huge impact on industries like film, gaming, even architecture.
So basically anything that involves creating visual experiences.
Yeah, pretty much. And then there's Thor.
Thor, like the superhero.
Not quite. This Thor is a super powerful robotics computer.
Oh, okay. So what's so special about it?
Well, it can process tons of sensor data in real time. This means robots will be able to actually see their environment, understand it, and make decisions based on what they see.
That's pretty incredible. So robots are going to become even more intelligent.
Yeah, they're going to be able to learn and adapt in ways we've never seen before.
So this is taking AI beyond the digital world and into the real world.
Precisely. And that's going to have a huge impact on everything from manufacturing to healthcare.
Okay, so it sounds like AI is the place to be if you're looking for investment opportunities.
It's definitely a hot sector,
Yeah.
but it's important to remember that diversification is key.
Right. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. Instead of focusing on just one company, think about investing in the broader AI ecosystem.
So what does that look like?
Look for companies that are developing the software, the algorithms, the infrastructure that makes AI possible.
So it's not just about picking the winner in the AI race. It's about investing in the companies that are building the foundation for this revolution.
That's a great way to put it. It's like investing in the picks and shovels during the gold rush, rather than trying to find the gold yourself.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so diversification is key. What else should investors be thinking about right now?
Well, one of our sources, Buy These 5 Assets to Get Rich in 2025, has some interesting ideas.
That sounds promising. What are these 5 magical assets?
Well, the source recommends a mix of stocks, real estate, gold, and alternative investments.
Okay, so a pretty diverse portfolio. Can you break that down a little bit?
Sure. So stocks are still a solid foundation for any portfolio. They represent ownership in companies and have the potential for growth.
Right, that's the classic investment advice.
Then there's real estate. It's a tangible asset that can provide both appreciation and income.
But isn't real estate a risky investment?
It can be, but you can invest directly in properties or explore more passive options like REITs,
What are those?
real estate investment trusts. It's a way to invest in a portfolio of properties without having to manage them yourself.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. So what about gold? That seems like an old-fashioned investment.
It is, but it's also a classic safe haven asset. It tends to hold its value during times of economic uncertainty.
So it's like a security blanket for your portfolio.
That's a good way to put it. And then, of course, there are alternative investments.
What are those exactly?
That can be a lot of different things. Private equity, venture capital, even collectibles.
Those seem a bit riskier than stocks or real estate.
They can be, yes, but they also have the potential for higher returns. The key is to do your research and understand the risks.
So don't just jump into something without knowing what you're getting into.
Exactly. And never invest more than you can afford to lose.
Sound advice. So with all these investment options out there, where do you even begin?
The first step is to understand your own risk tolerance.
How comfortable are you with the idea of losing money?
Exactly. And also, what are your financial goals? Are you saving for retirement, a down payment on a house, something else? Once you know those things, you can start to build a portfolio that aligns with your needs.
So it's about having a plan and sticking to it.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to start small. You don't need a lot of money to get started. There are plenty of low-cost investment options available.
So you can start building your portfolio even if you're on a tight budget.
Absolutely. And remember, investing is a marathon, not a sprint. Consistency and patience are key.
So it's not about getting rich quick. It's about building wealth over time.
That's right. Investing is about building a future for yourself.
Well said. It sounds like we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have. We've talked about the global political landscape, the rise of AI, and the importance of diversification in investing. It's a lot to process.
I know. But it's important to stay informed about what's happening in the world.
It is. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to investing.
Well, we'll be right back after a quick... Actually, you know what? We're just going to keep going.
Okay, sounds good.
There's so much more to unpack. Stay with us. So we were talking about all the excitement around AI,
Yeah.
especially at CES.
Right.
What was the general feeling there? What are people excited about?
The atmosphere at CES. Electric. It's electric.
Oh, wow.
There's just so much buzz around
Yeah.
the potential of AI.
Yeah.
And not just like in the tech world, in general, people are excited
Oh, interesting.
about how it can transform like everything.
Like what kinds of things?
Well, let's see. Healthcare, entertainment?
Healthcare and entertainment. Okay.
Sure.
I mean, those are pretty broad categories.
They are.
Are there any like specific examples that people were really talking about?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So smart homes were a big one.
Smart homes.
Yeah, imagine,
Oh, like a Jetsons house?
kind of like a home that can like anticipate your needs.
Anticipate your needs. That sounds creepy.
No, in a good way.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
adjust the temperature for you
Right.
or, order groceries when you're running low.
Oh, okay. So like a super helpful house.
Exactly. Like a personal assistant, but for your whole house.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and then personalized healthcare.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, AI can be used to diagnose diseases
Earlier.
and more accurately, and it can even help develop personalized treatment plans.
So it's not just about convenience then, it's really impacting people's health.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool.
And some experts think AI is going to like fundamentally change even how we learn,
How we learn. Okay.
how we work, how we entertain ourselves.
Wow. It really does seem like we're on the verge of like a whole new era
I think so.
driven by AI.
Absolutely.
It's an exciting time then,
It really is.
especially for people looking for investment opportunities, right?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a unique opportunity.
So you talked earlier about diversification, right?
Mhm.
Especially now with all the uncertainty in the markets.
Oh, yeah, super important. Yeah.
We're looking at this source, buy these 5 assets to get rich in 2025. It really emphasizes that point too.
Yeah, makes sense.
So what are these 5 magical assets?
They suggest stocks,
Okay, stocks, the old reliable
then real estate.
real estate, all right,
Yeah.
gold, like actual gold.
And those alternative investments that we discussed,
Oh yeah, those.
yeah, they're a little bit riskier. But
Yeah, but high reward, potentially.
right, exactly.
Okay, so if somebody's just starting out with investing,
Yeah.
what advice would you give them? Like, where do they even begin?
I would say first, like, know your risk tolerance.
Right.
Like, how comfortable are you with risk?
Some people are more risk averse than others.
Exactly. And what are your goals? Like, are you saving for retirement,
Yeah,
for a house,
yeah,
or something else?
that makes sense.
Yeah, once you know those things, you can build a portfolio that's right for you.
So, like, investing is personal.
It really is.
It's not just a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so know your risk tolerance, have some goals in mind.
And don't be afraid to start small.
Yeah,
You don't need a ton of money to get started.
right.
There are things like index funds or fractional shares.
Oh, I've heard of those, but I don't really know what they are.
Yeah, those are good options.
So they're good for beginners, basically.
They are.
Okay.
And remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint,
Oh,
right?
well, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, be consistent, be patient.
Consistency and patience. Got it.
Sure.
So we've talked about diversifying, knowing your risk tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
What else should investors be thinking about? Like, what are the big things right now?
Well, staying informed.
Oh, yeah, that's always important.
Yeah.
Especially now, it feels like there's just so much information out there.
There is, so be discerning, about what you're consuming.
Yeah. Filter through the noise.
Right,
Don't believe everything you read.
right, and try to get different perspectives.
So, like, read a variety of sources.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to, question things.
Yeah, think critically.
Exactly.
Okay, good advice.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about debt for a second because one of our sources, it was making this argument that mortgage debt is actually a good thing.
Oh, yeah. Interesting take. Yeah.
So, I mean, I've always thought of debt as bad,
Right.
but they were saying that mortgage debt, it's tied to an asset that typically appreciates in value, which is your house.
That's right.
So as long as you're making those payments and the value of your home is going up,
Yeah.
then it's not a bad thing.
Right. It's considered good debt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it allows you to leverage other people's money, the bank's money, to build your own wealth.
That's a good point. I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah. But of course, there are risks.
Like what?
Like interest rates could rise or the housing market could take a downturn.
Right. So it's not without its risks.
No, not at all.
Okay. So do your research before you jump into a mortgage.
Always. Yeah.
Don't bite off more than you can chew.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's talk about the R word.
The recession.
Yeah, the recession.
Mm-hmm.
There's been so much talk about it and a lot of uncertainty
A lot of uncertainty.
about whether it's actually going to happen.
Right. Some economists are predicting it, some aren't. It's really hard to say.
So what should people do? Just wait and see.
Well, you can look at certain economic indicators,
Hmm.
try to get a sense of what's going on.
Okay, so, like, what are we looking at?
Well, consumer spending's a big one.
Oh, okay.
If people are feeling confident about the future, they'll spend more.
Yeah.
But if they're worried, they tend to cut back.
So consumer confidence, that's a big indicator.
It is, yeah, and job growth, too.
Oh, yeah, jobs. That makes sense.
If businesses are hiring, it's a good sign.
But if they're laying people off.
Yeah, not so good.
So are we seeing layoffs now?
It's a mixed bag right now.
Okay.
But yeah, lots of layoffs are generally a bad sign.
Okay, and what about inflation?
Oh, yeah, inflation.
Because that's a big one, right?
It is, it erodes the purchasing power of your money.
Makes everything more expensive.
Exactly. And some experts think it's temporary,
Okay.
caused by supply chain issues.
From the pandemic.
Right. But others are worried it could be more persistent.
So are we just kind of waiting to see what happens with inflation?
Yeah, in a way.
Right.
But the Fed is trying to control it.
That,
The Federal Reserve, yeah, they're raising interest rates.
I've heard that.
Yeah, the idea is to slow the economy down a bit.
And that's supposed to bring prices down.
That's the hope, but it's a delicate balance.
Yeah, because if they slow the economy down too much.
Right, we could end up in a recession.
Exactly.
It's a tough job.
So it sounds like there's a lot to think about with the economy right now.
There is. Yeah, lots of moving parts.
Yeah.
It's a complex system.
Yeah, I'm starting to see how everything fits together.
Yeah, all these different things.
The political landscape, AI, the economy.
They're all connected.
It's a lot.
It is.
But it's fascinating.
Yeah, it is. Really interesting.
So how do we prepare for what's next then?
That's the big question, right?
It is.
I think the best we could do is stay informed,
Okay.
be adaptable,
Adaptable.
and stay curious.
Stay curious. Okay.
Yeah, keep learning
Keep learning.
about the world and what's going on.
Great advice.
Yeah,
It sounds like we've really explored a lot in this part of our deep dive.
we have.
AI at CES,
Mhm.
diversification, risk tolerance, the economy.
Yeah,
It's been a whirlwind,
it has.
but we're not done yet. There's more to come.
Definitely. There's always more to learn.
So stick with us. We'll be right back.
All right, we're back
Back again.
for the final part of our deep dive.
Yeah, we've covered so much.
From political uncertainty to AI to the economy.
That's all connected, right?
It really is.
It's like trying to understand a giant puzzle.
Yeah, with all these different pieces. And they all fit together in some way.
So as we wrap up here,
Yeah.
what are some of the key takeaways? Like, what do you want our listeners to remember from this deep dive?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is just how much change and uncertainty there is right now.
Yeah, that's definitely been a theme throughout this whole conversation.
It has.
The world feels really unpredictable right now.
It does. The old rules don't really apply anymore.
So what do we do? How do we deal with all this uncertainty?
Well, for one, don't panic.
Okay, good advice.
This is also a time of incredible opportunity.
Opportunity.
Yeah, for those who can adapt,
Adapt. Okay.
think strategically, embrace the change.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
No, not at all. Just a different kind of game now.
So what does that look like in a practical sense?
Well, stay informed, obviously.
Yeah, we talked about that.
There's just so much information out there.
Too much information sometimes.
It can be overwhelming, so you have to be careful what you consume,
Yeah, be selective.
right? And try to get information from a variety of sources.
Don't just get stuck in an echo chamber.
Exactly.
Okay, good advice.
And remember, it's not just about staying informed about what's happening right now.
Okay, what else?
You have to understand the bigger picture.
The trends that are shaping the world.
Yeah, like AI, for example.
AI, right?
That's a big one. It's not just a technology, it's a societal transformation.
Yeah, it's changing everything.
It really is.
And what about investing? Like, what advice do you have for people who are trying to figure out what to do with their money in these uncertain times?
Well, like we said before, diversification is key.
Diversification, got it.
And remember, investing is a long game.
Don't try to time the market.
Exactly. Just focus on building a solid portfolio that aligns with your goals and your risk tolerance.
So have a plan and stick to it,
Exactly.
even when things get a little bumpy.
Even when things get bumpy,
Because they will.
they always do.
So we've talked about AI a lot,
We have.
but it's not the only trend shaping the future.
Right. What else should people be paying attention to?
Yeah, what else is out there?
Well, the global political landscape is still very volatile.
We talked about that earlier.
We did. But it's important to emphasize just how much uncertainty there is.
Yeah, it feels like anything could happen.
It does. And the decisions that are made in the next few years are going to have a huge impact on the future.
So what can we do? Like, as individuals, how can we influence these big decisions?
Well, I think the most important thing is to be engaged,
Engaged.
stay informed, participate in the conversation, make your voice heard.
So get
Yeah,
involved.
don't just sit on the sidelines.
Okay, that's empowering.
It is.
It feels like we're at a crossroads right now.
I think we are, yeah.
And it's up to us to decide which path we want to take. This
Exactly.
has been a really fascinating conversation.
It has.
I feel like I've learned so much about the world and where we're headed.
Me too. It's been a great discussion.
And I hope our listeners feel the same way.
I hope so too.
So, before we sign off, any final words of wisdom?
Stay curious, stay engaged, stay optimistic.
Love it. Those are great words to live by.
They are. The future is out there and it's ours to create.
Well said.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive.
That's a wrap.
Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you next time for another insightful exploration of the world around us.